a lot of too, but honestly, there could be the way where you put Crawford over.
You know, he coming behind his jab, he throwing straight punches, he going to the body, going up and down. He just got to tighten up a little bit on his defense, but other than that.
The fight for the pound-for-pound #1 spot is always intense, and David, the Mexican monster Benavidez, has now shared his thoughts on Terence "Bud" Crawford, without calling him out. When Crawford beat Canelo Alvarez, it was more than a big victory, it sent shockwaves through boxing. He didn't just defeat the undisputed champion at 168 pounds, he exposed the weaknesses of a fighter many believed couldn't be beaten. Jumping up 2 weight classes, Crawford stepped in against a proven icon and made the matchup look one-sided. That night wasn't just about winning a fight, it changed how fans and fighters define true greatness.
On the Mount Rushmore of boxers?
Yeah. Yes. Fuck yeah.
Yeah?
3-time undisputed. He just beat Canelo.
Yeah.
The face of boxing. So now you can say Bud is the face of boxing.
Greatest of all time, or?
Greatest of all time.
Yeah.
I don't feel like it can never be one great, but he definitely one of the greatest.
Undefeated and a multiple-time world champion, David Benavidez understands what it takes to rule at the highest level. But his comments about Terence Crawford went far beyond standard respect and caught the boxing world off guard. In a sport fueled by pride, rivalries, and non-stop challenges, Benavidez, who confidently calls himself the best in the game, did something uncommon. Instead of just applauding Crawford's ability, he elevated him, placing him among boxing's greatest ever and naming him a true all-time legend. In Benavidez's view, Crawford didn't simply set records. He reached a level that only a handful of fighters in history have touched, securing his spot among the sport's immortals.
Because, you know, he did something that I didn't think he was going to do. You know what I mean? He went and he beat Canelo. You know, that's 3 weight classes going up. You know what I mean? And he made it look pretty easy. So,
Coming from one of his fiercest rivals, that level of praise didn't just turn heads, it silenced the room. Benavidez fully understood what Crawford accomplished by moving up in weight and capturing every title in his path, and he gave him complete credit for it. But what stood out most, in Benavidez's eyes, explained why Crawford feels impossible to stop. He didn't mention speed, footwork, or stance switching. Instead, he pointed to something that can't be taught: heart. Benavidez was amazed by Crawford's courage and mindset, especially late in the fight when, despite already being ahead, Crawford chose to stand and exchange with a larger, more powerful opponent like Canelo, proving that beyond talent, his bravery and determination are on a different level.
Crawford's ability to stay focused in the fight, and not only just to stay focused and box, but he also got rugged in there. You know what I mean? He started balling with him towards the late rounds. You know what I mean? That's something I appreciate in a fighter. You know what I mean? He was already up. He could have chose to just box, but he went in there and he tried to brawl with him in the last round. So that's really what impressed me. His heart more than.
Crawford stepped into the ring with one goal, and it wasn't just victory, it was complete dominance. He fights with non-stop pressure and a mindset that refuses to back off, always pushing for full control instead of playing it safe. Every action he takes, from his punches to his movement to how he closes rounds, shows a fighter who never eases up and never leaves questions unanswered, fully focused on making his performance impossible to forget.
I think it's more important for Crawford than anybody, you know, but I think if anybody could beat Canelo, I think Crawford could.
Yeah, I know you said like he could be the guy. What kind of a chance do you ultimately give him?
I think you give him like a 7 out of a 10.
Oh wow, that high! I thought you were going to say like 25.
Well, I mean, no, Crawford is good. Crawford is good, and I think he's been known that he's going to fight Canelo for a long time. And you know, Crawford he likes to pick up the weight, so I'm sure he's been working on the weights for a long time. So, you know, Crawford, when he has with a person that has a big IQ like that, if you do enough weights, you know, and you stay working for a long time, you know, you have
From Benavidez's perspective, that mindset is Crawford's greatest advantage and the reason he feels almost impossible to beat. It goes beyond elite technique and talent, coming down to the constant hunger and intensity driving every punch and every decision he makes in the ring. Benavidez believes that fearless edge is something Canelo Alvarez no longer has, and it's the exact difference between a truly great champion and the rest of the field.
Too, but honestly, there could be the way where you put Crawford over Mayweather. Because of going up, you didn't see Mayweather go up from 147 to 168. That's crazy, bro. And honestly, I thought Crawford was gonna have more of a hard time because he had a hard time with Madronov. So imagine going up to it. I mean, that's crazy. I mean, but I don't want to take nothing away from Mayweather. Mayweather is the greatest of all time. But I think that was a really big risk that Crawford took, and then he he ended up winning. You know what I mean? So you have to give credit to that too. I mean, that's a big risk. That'd be like me going up and fighting Usyk right now, heavyweight.
I know that's been kind of hinted.
I'm not thinking of that right now. I'm not thinking of that right now. No, but that's kind of like how that'd be. You know what I mean? So you have to, bro. That's a lot of. He has a lot of balls to do that, and not only to go do that to show the world that he's really like that.
Praise for Crawford came with a sharp edge, because after honoring him as an all-time great, Benavidez quickly shifted his focus to Canelo Alvarez and offered a blunt assessment. He pointed to what he believes was Canelo's biggest mistake and the true reason the loss was so damaging. It wasn't declining ability or lack of strength, but an unchecked ego. Benavidez said Canelo showed disrespect to both Crawford and boxing itself by barely engaging and trusting his reputation more than his effort. In his view, Canelo believed he could walk forward, land one big punch, and finish the fight easily, and that misplaced confidence ended up costing him everything.
I kind of felt like that could have been me. That was my moment. You know what I mean? If I would have gone in there, I know I would have beat him. You know what I mean? So I don't want to be a hater, but that's kind of how I feel. But you know what I mean? I give all the flowers to Crawford. You know what I mean?
That should have been me in there. That should have been my.
If I would have got that fight, I would have been me. I would have been the one getting my hand raised. But like I said, it didn't happen, and that's why it didn't happen, because Canelo knows.
Benavidez made it clear that in boxing, that kind of arrogance can end a career, and he closed with a warning no fighter should ignore. He explained that the very ego that once helped lift Canelo to the top eventually turned against him, becoming the same force that led to his collapse inside the ring.
Crawford took it way more serious than Canelo, which is kind of weird because, you know, the amount of money that Canelo was making. And I know all these people say, oh, yeah, you know, talking shit about Canelo. I'm not talking shit about him. He just didn't look like he really prepared 100%. He's throwing 10 punches around, or I think it was his ego is that big that he thought that, oh, I'm just going to walk through him, catch him with a good shot, and it's going to be done. As you can see, Crawford is a different type of fighter. Not only has he had the boxing IQ, he has that dog in him. He was in there. He was brawling with Canelo like in the 8th, 9th, getting the best out of him. Boxing, he's epitome of a great boxer. There's a lot of lessons to be learned in that fight. You know what I mean? If you really want to make something come true and you really believe it, you can make it come true. And then the other lesson is, don't let your ego get the best out of you. Don't think that you don't have to prepare because you're a bigger fighter. You know what I mean?
With Canelo dethroned, fans immediately imagined the ultimate showdown, the unstoppable Terence Crawford against David, the Mexican monster Benavidez, the uncrowned king, a clash that promised to define the 168-pound division. Hype was through the roof, but Benavidez stunned everyone with his response. He didn't just turn the fight down, he shut it down completely, giving a reason as bold as the rejection itself. He announced, "I'm done with 168, making it clear he's moving on from the super middleweight division and won't even consider returning for a big payday against Canelo. Any matchup with Crawford is officially off the table."
Oh, my plan is after this fight, I want to go down to 154. No, bro. Honestly, I'm done with cruiserweight. You know, I want to take this opportunity, though. Yes, I say cruiserweight. I want to take this opportunity to, you know, congratulate Crawford. You know, he put a hell of a performance. He's up there in the Mount Rushmore of the greatest fighters of all time. And, you know, let Crawford do his thing, bro. You know, at the end of the day, I have no interest in fighting Crawford. I have no interest in going down to 168. I mean, yeah, it's nice that it would be dope winning all titles, but I'm way past that at 168. You know, the only reason I wouldn't even go down to 168 for Canelo, and I'm just being real with you, you know. And let Crawford do his thing. Let him have his, let him. I want to give his flowers, man, because he's a great fighter, man. When there's no other fighter that's coming up from 147 to beat a type of fighter like Canelo at 168, you know, and Crawford, you know, he's one of the greatest of all time. So, you know, I have no interest in going down to 168. I'm not saying that I'm scared of Crawford or whatever, you know, but Crawford is a man at 168.
Benavidez made a blunt, almost dismissive comment that crushed hopes for boxing's biggest fight, saying, "Let Terence Crawford live. That's his weight class." With that, he stepped away from the division, let down fans, and turned down the matchup everyone wanted, leaving Crawford alone as the undisputed champion.
I still got it at 50-50. Benavidez good, but Canelo is, you know what I mean, great. We just gotta see the fight, man. We all want to see the fight.
Do you think he gets him to the body? Because Booba was landing a lot of body shots.
I don't know. That's why I said we gotta watch the fight. You know what I mean? It's a different style, different type of fighter. You got two strong fighter going head to head.
Is Canelo the only 68 you fight, or would you consider a Benavidez?
Yeah, Canelo.
Why would a fighter walk away from a division stacked with top opponents and massive paydays just as he's at his peak? Benavidez's story makes it clear. At 168 pounds, he's had a rocky past. He's the only two-time champion to lose his world titles twice without ever being beaten in the ring. First, he was stripped after testing positive for cocaine, and later he lost the belt again by missing weight. That division has always been a struggle, and the toll showed. Now, Benavidez is moving on, leaving that chapter behind and stepping up to 175 pounds, targeting cruiserweight and potential fights against light heavyweight stars like Artur Beterbiev, Dimitri Val, and even a possible matchup with Zordo Ramirez. His quest for greatness has shifted, and he's focused on what's ahead.
We're in talks fighting Zordo Ramirez for his belts at cruiserweight, so we're already in talks of that, you know. And then that's definitely a fight that has to happen because I used to spar him when I was 18 years old. All the way, you know, I sparred him a lot, so I know that's a pay-per-view fight. So it was a pay-per-view sparring session, so the fight is going to be, you know, way better. But yeah, definitely, that's in my sights. You know, I definitely want to go up to cruiserweight. You know, I want to be a reigning defending champion at light heavyweight, and then make my way up.
He's walking away from the 168-pound throne, leaving it to Crawford, a fighter he clearly respects but has no intention of facing in the ring.
That's cheating. I love it. That is cheating.
That's a heel turn. You the boss. I love it. That's a heel turn. I love it. You do that before.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the thing. Roy at his peak. Just remember this. If Roy would have retired after the Ruiz fight, he would have replaced Sugar Ray Robinson as the greatest fighter of all time. I agree. Right? But he didn't, and the rest of that stuff is in there, right? So I get it. But Roy at his peak, I think, had a higher peak than anyone on this list.
I agree.
Okay, Manny Pacquiao, we've all said it a million times. I think he is, outside of Sugar Ray Robinson, I have Manny Pacquiao's second greatest pound-for-pound fighter ever. Floyd Mayweather never lost. And did he cherry pick when and where? Yes. But guys, from 130, 135, he cleaned out 135. He beat the best guy at 130, beat the best guy at 135. Yes, did he pick and choose at 140, 47, and 54? Yeah, but he won all those fights.
That's right.
And he beat a lot of good fighters.
No.
And more than that, put Floyd at his best with anyone through history.
It leaves boxing with a big question. Did Canelo's ego cost him his titles and deny fans the ultimate super fight? Or is David Benavidez simply avoiding the one fighter he just put on his Mount Rushmore? That's all for today. If you liked the video,